Hey everybody, and welcome to BK's Bullets. Today we're talking Thor: The Dark World in our March to Infinity War. Hey everybody, and welcome back to BK's Bullets. As always, I'm your host, Brent, and today we're doing our March to Infinity War project, and we're looking at Thor: The Dark World. So this is actually the second Thor movie, right? And this is probably the worst Marvel movie to date, even though it's not technically that bad. It's just, as a whole, generally uninteresting. The plot is kind of meh. The villain is really meh. You have Malekith the Accursed is the villain, but they have the guy from the first Doctor Who playing him, and he's really kind of nobody. There's no character. He's just flat. You don't care who he is. He's not very interesting. He's just there. Anyway, this film is significant because it introduces the Loki everybody knows and loves, but everybody rolls back into the Avengers film and the first Thor film when he really wasn't that way. So this Loki in this film is kind of this brother-to-brother talking and things like that, and the snappy dialogue and that stuff. Everybody likes this Loki. They don't like he wasn't that way in Avengers or the first Thor, but for whatever reason they kind of roll that memory back into those movies. But this is the way he is in this movie, and then in Thor Ragnarok, whereas the next time we've seen him. So let's get to the plot. So the plot is really based around these dark elves. They want revenge for some reason and to get their weapon back, which is called the Ether. And then somehow the Ether gets stored into Jane Foster. She has to go to Asgard to get checked out. There's an attack on Asgard to get the Ether and Jane Foster. Frigga is killed, and Frigga is Thor and Loki's mom. And because of that, Thor and Loki go to the Dark World to take Jane Foster to somehow get revenge and get the Ether pulled out of her. So that's basically it. And they do that, except the Ether is pulled out of her and then put into Malekith, and then he attacks Earth. They stop him again, and they take the Ether. Then the Warriors 3 do. They take it to the Collector. Now, this is the most interesting part of the film because this is where we find out that we first heard the words Infinity Stone. The Collector says, an Infinity Stone. And then we also learn, I think at this time, that the Tesseract is also an Infinity Stone. So it's the first time we've actually heard of them in the Marvel Universe. Come to find out later on, I think in Guardians of the Galaxy, we find out that Loki's scepter, that gem, is actually the Mind Stone, which is why he's able to control minds and stuff like that. But all in all, everybody's back you got Darcy back, you got Dr. Selvig back, Jane Foster's back, and they're fun, Selvig and Darcy, but all in all, the film, I think, because the villain is so weak, is just very uninteresting. And they kind of failed to make Asgard that interesting as well. They're only there for a short amount of time, and it doesn't really grab you. It doesn't feel like a place that you want to go to. You have Alan Taylor directing it. He came from television doing Game of Thrones, whereas the first film you had Kenneth Branagh kind of bringing this Shakespearean grandiosity, and Alan Taylor kind of brings that down a little bit. So that's Thor: The Dark World in a nutshell for you. All in all, if I had to rate it, probably 3 out of 5 stars. It's purely just an average film. It is rewatchable, but it's not that interesting. So this is definitely one you can kind of put on and play with on your phone and stuff like that if you need to. It doesn't command your attention the way other Marvel movies have done and will do in the future. So that's that. Our next Marvel movie is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. So looking forward to reviewing that with y'all. And I'll see you guys in the funny pages.